Hey, what's going on, folks? It's been a corporate news shakeup today. Tucker Carlson has parted ways with Fox News, according to a Fox press release, and Don Lemon, according to his own Twitter, was ousted at CNN without him even knowing. He had to find out through his agent. We're going to read the full statements, react to it, and now that Tucker Carlson's gone, corporate television has sunk into a new low, and I knew this day would come. It's going to be a fun show. Check out dreamrare.com, DREAMRARE, for new Big Pharma, not Big Pharma shirts, and God is Great sweatshirts are back in, and the show starts now.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys so much on Facebook and YouTube for being here live, and thank you to everybody listening on BitChute and Rumble after, and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you listen somewhere else besides that, congratulations, you're cool too. Speaking of which, Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon either got fired or left. Don Lemon definitely got fired. Tucker Carlson, we're not sure yet. Let's read a few of the statements. Let's start with Don Lemon because I want to spend less time on Don Lemon since he's irrelevant. My friend Patriot J, who I have a song with, he has a Don Lemon diss rap. It's pretty funny. But, Tucker to me was the best person on television journalism. The second isn't even close to him as far as what they mean to the corporate news world in America. So we'll start with Don Lemon since, if Tucker Carlson was like Barry Bonds, Don Lemon would be like, Chuck Malusky. It's like, who's Chuck Malusky? Exactly. No one cares. Don Lemon wrote on Twitter, I was informed, and of course, Don Lemon, he had to write in like purple font. It's like, he's always got to be so fabulous. Can't just write in black and white. It's got to be purple. But no, just kidding. Don Lemon said, I was informed this morning by my agent that I have been terminated by CNN. I am stunned. After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly. At no time have I ever given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do the work. I have loved the network. It is clear that there are some larger issues at play. With that said, I want to thank my colleagues and the many teams I have worked with for an incredible run. They are the most talented journalists in the business, and I wish them all the best. So Don Lemon is suggesting that there are some larger issues at play. Well, according to CNN rules, Don Lemon, larger issues at play would be a conspiracy theory, and we don't believe in those. So, it's blaming a larger issue for you getting fired from CNN sounds like QAnon to me. So it's just Blue Anon. So, shouldn't be spreading conspiracy theories about CNN, Don. What to say? I saw this video. If you guys have ever seen it, it's on my Twitter now. Don Lemon used to be like normal and honest to some extent. There's this whole rant he has, like obviously Don Lemon's black himself, or so they say. He had this rant about how he's like, black people in America, here's what you got to do. And like, he sounded like Bill O'Reilly. And I'm like, how do you go from that person to that? Everybody can change, evolve, but it just seems to me like it's a weird progression that he's gone through. Like, does he really believe what he's saying? I always wonder. And people think, you really think news people would do stuff for money? Most people do things for money that they don't want to do. For example, if you work at a store that you don't really like that much, most people are not huge fans of what they do. I've had many jobs where it's not like I hate the business, but it's not like my passion project or anything. So lots of people in this world will work for corporations that they don't necessarily fully believe in just to get money. That's what probably 9 out of 10 human beings do. I got to get a paycheck, got to feed my family. This is the guy who could pay me the money. So it's not that hard to believe that there would be news anchors on television that will take millions of dollars to basically say what they think is said. It's like they're doing the same thing that others are doing to some extent. I'm not saying it's right. It's definitely not ethical or moral, but, I always wonder who actually believes this nonsense and who is just taking the money and shutting up. It's hard to really tell nowadays. Like, let's just, without getting on too crazy of a tangent, I can't help myself, but when it comes to like trans sports, like, okay, that wasn't a thing 6 years ago. Like Democrats and Republicans, if you asked them 6 years ago, like, do you think that biologically born men should play women's sports? Like everyone would have been like, no. Like it was very rare for any Democrat to be like, yeah, that makes total sense. Like just 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So now that's like a Democrat thing. You can't be a Democrat if you don't agree with that. Even though 10 years ago, none of them agreed with that. That's where I wonder, do they actually believe their own propaganda, or are they just doing it to save face? It's hard to tell who's who nowadays because everything's so crazy. Just like breathing air is a conspiracy theory. So Don Lemon fired from CNN, shared it on Twitter. Sad day for the 5 fans of Don Lemon. I'm sure he could get a job learning to code, or, Wendy's is probably hiring. Maybe they have artificial intelligence now that does a better job than Don. I don't know. Maybe he could work at MSNBC. Maybe he could start a podcast like Obama that nobody listens to. Maybe he can join some sort of activist group and get some NGO money. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities for Don Lemon, but, I'm sure he saved up enough money where he's good for life anyway. So I don't feel that bad. God bless you, Don. Good luck, brother. Let's go to Tucker Carlson because that's the more interesting one. Fox News, this is the official press release from their website. Fox, and by the way, I covered this at streamrare.com, my new website, streamrare.com, to do my own news and journalism. Fox News and media and Tucker Carlson part ways. They're calling it a parting of ways. We'll talk about it after, but let's just get to what they say. Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. We thank him for his service to the network as a host and prior to that as a contributor. Mr. Carlson's last program was Friday, April 21st. Fox News Tonight will air live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time starting this evening as an interim show helmed by rotating Fox News personalities until a new host is named. Fox News Media operates the Fox News Channel, Fox Business Network, Fox News Digital, Fox News Audio, Fox News Books, the direct-to-consumer streaming services at Fox, whatever. They're just like rambling off. They say Fox News Media reaches nearly 200 million people per month. So they're kind of like flexing at the end of it. They don't even have to do that, but they're like, we still reach so many people. Ha, ha, ha. We don't need Tucker or something. That's just my interpretation of it. That's not like an official statement. It's just weird that they're like flexing at the end of it. They're like, we still reach through our portals. Cool. Good job, Fox. You're so special. You're so cool. Good job. Wow. Pat on the back. Rupert Murdoch. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for the pat. Whatever. There's now news reports. I'm not going to start rumors, but I think it was LA Times. They're starting to say that Murdoch ousted him. People are suggesting, including like mainstream media now, that it was because of his January 6th coverage. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about the Dominion lawsuit. I think Fox had to fork over $700 something million. So obviously that could have been in play. Some people are speculating because Tucker just did an Elon Musk interview. All I'm going to say is this. When it came to television news, Tucker was really, in my opinion, number one. And number two wasn't even close to him. Whoever you think is the second best person on television, whether it's Laura Ingraham, some people say Greg Gutfeld. I don't see it, but whatever. In general, Tucker was so far above everybody else in importance. The second place person doesn't even matter. It might as well be a rock, in my opinion. With that being said, Tucker would have on honest progressives. He'd let people talk like RFK Jr., Elon, Jimmy Dore. He'd have Tulsi on sometimes to go against the war agenda. Tucker would call out the Republican Party. He would grill people like Jim Jordan for taking Google donations. He would, question even the war with Iran, which a lot of Trump supporters that I saw when Trump was president, Tucker was like questioning the war agenda against Iran. And everybody was like, I'm done with Tucker. I'm done. Nobody was done with Tucker. They just threw a fit for a week and then went back to him. But in general, he wasn't afraid to call out his own party, the Trump administration when it made sense. The Democrats, obviously, Tucker did a great job with that. He was funny. And most importantly to me, he seems like he's the least controllable person on television. Out of everybody on TV, it seems like Tucker was the least controllable. He was the ones that would break certain stories that no one would break. He would have opinions that no one would have. Like, Tucker was the real deal. To me, Sean Hannity, is whatever. You know what I'm saying? Mark Levin, but I know people like him. Recently, Dan Bongino got ousted or left Fox News. He said he didn't get ousted. They just couldn't come to terms with the term agreement. When it comes to that, I think Dan was one of the more impressive people on Fox News too. So them losing Dan Bongino and Tucker Carlson in a week, that's not good for Fox News. Maybe they have the power to get over it, but Dan had said, we'll see what Tucker says. I watched the video of Dan. Dan said, he has no problem with Fox. He has no hard feelings. There's no conspiracy. He just couldn't come to terms of an agreement. And a lot of people think maybe he's not telling the truth about that. But honestly, this is just my take. I don't know. I'm not at Fox or Dan, so I don't know both sides. I believe, Dan, that they couldn't come to terms on an agreement because the truth is Dan Bongino doesn't need Fox News. Dan Bongino probably made a lot of money. Dan Bongino was early on Rumble. He might even own a percentage of the company. I'm not sure, but he was one of the first ones over there. Dan, he could get a show probably at anywhere. I'm sure that Blaze, Daily Wire, Rumble, he already works for Rumble. He's not hurting for money or opportunity, in my opinion. And when it came to Fox, he probably had a high threshold of what he wanted, and Fox didn't want to do it. And then Dan had no problem walking away. Dan will be fine. I don't think he needs Fox News by any means. And, it seems like they just couldn't come to terms. No big deal. Tucker, now you lose Dan and Tucker. It's like, why would anybody even watch television at this point? I mean, Tucker really was the only person on TV that would constantly go against the propaganda. And now it's almost like a corporate monopoly. I hope that Honestly, I hope that all corporate news fails at this point. I mean, God bless them in the free market or whatever. But, I always knew the day when Tucker Carlson left Fox News that the television news was going to be like a wrap. That's why they tried so hard, so desperately to get him off air, because when he's questioning the Iran war, who else would question that? Sean Hannity would never question Iran or Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? Mark Levin certainly won't. Tucker was the only one. Who will have Jimmy Dore on and let Jimmy Dore rant about Julian Assange or someone for a couple minutes? No one would do that, but Tucker will. Who will reach across the aisle to make valid points that no, he really was the last of the Mohegans on television. And, I was just praying that even though I think he'll be fine elsewhere, it's nice to have somebody on TV that's just not completely brain dead that will educate people. So we'll see what happens. I think Tucker will be fine. He's made a lot of money. He'll be very successful. He could go to Rumble. He could probably go to Daily Wire. He could probably, I mean, Tucker's probably worth a lot of money. I don't know how much his deal is going to be, but I would guess that every conservative media company that has the money to afford Tucker will be chomping at the bits to get him, rightfully so. To me, he's the best. You guys see me on here sometimes, and I'm glad to talk about Tucker because I don't agree with Tucker on everything, obviously, and we're different people. With that being said, I seem like a hater sometimes because I have such like a high standards that certain people just don't impress me. I'm not interested. And Tucker always did impress me with a lot of his pieces. Like I could watch I didn't like every Tucker segment. It's not my cup of tea all the time, but I would watch a Tucker segment that was 10 minutes long and I would think to myself, that's good. Because I work hard at what I do. I try to do good news analysis. When I do journalistic 10-minute pieces that are like, I think they're some of the best in the game, even though the quality might not be like with the cameras. The content, I think I do. Tucker was one of the only people that I've ever seen that I'm like, now that's good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a hater. I just set a high bar for myself and I do it for others. And a lot of people honestly aren't that great. Like Don Lemon's an example. He's a clown. But Tucker, I'm like, that guy's good. There's a reason he's the number one draw on television. There's a reason that so many people respect him and like him. I remember I saw Tucker Carlson debate Cenk Uygur, or as some know him, Chunk Yogurt, from the Young Turks, or the, young Armenian, named after Armenian genocide group or whatever they're called, the Young Chunks. And Chunk Yogurt and Cenk Uygur and Tucker Carlson, they debated at Politicon. And it was such an interesting debate because Tucker was very likable, very reasonable, very honest. He wasn't afraid to be like, I actually agree with the left wing on that. I agree with your audience. And Chunk Yogurt was so rude. He would just, as a person, he was just like, oh, Tucker, I can't believe we agree. And Tucker's like, I don't mind reaching across the aisle and agreeing with you. If it's right, it's right. That was Tucker's energy the whole debate. He's like, if that's the truth, that's the truth. And Sank's like, I can't agree. Like Chunk Yogurt is such a chunky, he's like a, I don't even know, Chobani yogurt. It's just too chunky, too fake, too like, eh. And I'm not blaming Chobani because I remember like Chobani yogurt had a beef with Alex Jones. I'm not trying to get sued. I'm just trying to make a joke. But anyway, I saw Tucker in person debate and I'm like, he's very off the cuff. He's very good and very honest. That being said, we'll see what happens. We'll see where he goes. I hope corporate television fails. I mean, it's such a disgusting business model. When I was in the 90s, when I was growing up, commercials were fun. They were uplifting. They were for families. Now, every commercial, pill, pill, pill. Big Pharma has swallowed up the television, and whether it's Fox or CNN, all the commercials are disgusting pill commercials. And you listen to the pill commercial, and it's like, here, do you have eczema? Here's a pill, and then it's like the side effects are. Bum, 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 bum. And they lift off. No, that's Elon's rocket that blew up. They list off a bunch of side effects that are worse than the disease that they're trying to cure you from. So it's like, I think television news is disgusting. And I'm a somewhat spiritual person. I believe in manifestation, filling your mind with good thoughts. I'm not saying I'm a perfect person by any means, but I'm just saying I really am sensitive to what I intake, even in programming. And the commercials are disgusting, disgusting on television. Like it's evil, disgusting. The whole system is like late stage corporatocracy, where it's just like the most disgusting ads. They're just sucking as much money out of you as they can. I hope that all corporate TV fails. With that being said, we'll see what happens, because I really think that CNN has lost a lot of trust from any moderate or right winger, and I think the CNN only has like this Trump thing, like really. And I'm not blaming Trump for this, just to be honest. I'm just saying like that's all they really have is like Trump, abortion. Like they have these like villain narratives. And when it comes to Fox, I mean, they already lost a lot of people's respect with Tucker gone. Like who should I listen to on Fox? I don't care. Like I don't want to listen to anybody. So we'll see what happens, but maybe both networks are trying to like, oh, we're not who we used to be. Well, who did you used to be? Like, what is CNN going to rebrand as moderate and people are supposed to buy it? I don't care if it's Don Lemon. What's the other guy's name? Anderson Cooper. It's like, you guys have lost my respect and trust. Good luck earning it back. I hope you do a good job, but I'm not going to count on it. With Fox, maybe CNN's trying to move in the right direction or something. Maybe they're not. Maybe Don Lemon just sucks at his job. Who knows? But with Fox, I mean, Tucker really was your brand for me. Without Tucker, like, there's nothing really there. Laura's had me on one time. That was cool. There's a few good guests on Fox, but like Tucker really was it. There's no reason for me to even respect or like your news organization anymore. So let me know what you guys think in the in the comment section. I'll read a few comments. Someone said Tucker's gone. Where have I been? It's all new. Tucker's gone. Don Lemon's gone. I'm sure Tucker will speak about it, but my best guess is, there's pressure being put on Fox. Like Dominion sued them for 700 something million dollars. There's pressure from groups like the Anti-Defamation League, the Jewish activist organization that constantly cries and lies, and they have a huge left-wing skew. They put a lot of pressure on everybody. AOC recently said stuff. Maybe Fox is caving to the pressure. January 6th, Dominion. I'm not really sure, but a lot of groups wanted Tucker gone. He was the most important person on television. Without Tucker, they almost have a total monopoly on certain war agendas. And, he would be calling out the Ukraine war. Who else would do that? Mark Levin? I don't see it. Sean Hannity? I haven't seen it. Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. A lot of people wanted Tucker gone, and now he is. So we'll see. Hopefully it backfires on corporate media. I want to say real quick for everybody, I was on a show today. I woke up, I started writing articles and tweeting, and in bed, Jason Whitlock from Blaze TV reached out to me and he said, do you want to be on the show? And like I was like, sure. And I kept asking when the time was, and it ended up being within like 45 minutes. So I went on that show quickly because I really had very little time. And check it out. I don't watch his show that much, but obviously it's going to be a good episode because I'm there. And watch the intro when you see it. It's really funny. Jason's like, I like Anomaly's tweets. I don't really know that much about him. I'm not really sure where he stands. And like, I don't know. And then he's like, why are you wearing all blue? Are you a Chargers fan? It was kind of interesting. It was kind of weird, but it's like, I don't know. It was like low key condescending, but I don't really care. It doesn't really bother me. But he's like, I guess I'll have Anomaly on, but I don't know what he's gonna say. And it's like, you're welcome for making your show better, Jason. You have me on. Your audience can be wildly entertained with the truth and basic humor. So, anytime you want to make your show better, just call Anomaly. I'll hop on for a couple minutes and I'll bless your audience with my opinions and my humor. So, we'll see if I ever get invited back, but that was kind of funny. Someone said Tucker got fired for telling too much truth. Definitely a possibility. He's too unpredictable. He's too uncontrollable to some extent, and he doesn't go along with the war agenda. There's just think about this. I'm not saying this is the reason he got fired, but in general, how much money have we sent to Zelensky? Hundreds of billions of dollars. I don't know, over $100 billion or something. Think about how much money that is. So say, I'm not saying this is what's going on at Fox, but just say they want that money to keep flowing to Ukraine, and Tucker's on there saying, I don't understand why we're giving them so much money. We're actually hurting America's interests, and we're not ending the war. We're basically funding a war. So we're hurting both sides of the war. You know, if you only have one person or two people on television that says stuff like that, you get what I'm saying? It's like, get that guy out of here so we can almost have a monopoly on the war agenda on television. Could be the Dominion stuff, could be the January 6th stuff. Everybody remembers Tucker had all that January 6th stuff ready to go. And then it was like, they like cut the second one. It looked basically like after the first day where they showed the evidence of Jacob's Chansley, the QAnon shaman. It seemed like someone stepped in and basically told him not to share more footage, and then it kind of watered down from that point. It could have been that. It could have been the January 6th footage. And here's what I want to say. Whether you're a left winger and you think that January 6th was worse than 9/11, or you're a right winger and you think that January 6th was goofy, or maybe you thought it was not goofy and it was awesome, regardless of where you are on the lines of what you thought about January 6th, why wouldn't you want the footage released? Like, if you're left wing and it's worse than 9/11 and it's the attack on our democracy, why wouldn't you want Tucker to release all the footage? The footage should all be released. On that note, if you're a right winger and you think that, people got set up, also you should want the footage released. I don't understand why it's such a threat to release police footage of that event. I think it would have benefited both sides, and we could have found out what really happened. With that being said, someone said Tucker caved. I mean, I don't think so, really. I think he left. And here's the thing: at the end of the day, when you join another company, you're playing by their rules to some extent. Like, for example, I'll just give you an example with me because that's all I really know. I'm not signed to anybody. I own all my own stuff. I make all my own decisions, but I'm responsible for my decisions. So here's the truth of what people don't understand. And it's not right, but it's what's going on. So I've built my audience. I've built all this stuff. It's my income, etc. If I had a guest on and a guest basically just started, saying stuff that I didn't believe, that was false, or that could get me sued, technically I could get in trouble for what my guest is saying. So to some extent, everybody kind of has to, watch what they're doing, because say Tucker Carlson or Fox News has a guest on that's lying about a company and then they get sued, they got to pay hundreds of millions of dollars for it. So I think to some extent, everybody has to play some sort of a game of, like, we're not living in the 80s anymore where you could have a guest on and they just speak their opinion. It's like you could get sued for defamation for what your guest says, which is not fair, because how can I control my guest, or how can I control what someone says on TV? Sometimes it's live. It's unpredictable what they're going to say. But now when you're the publisher, you get in trouble for it. Also, when you're on your own, like myself, Facebook, YouTube, they have a certain set of policies. Although I don't censor what I say, I think about what I should say, where I should say it. Certain things I'll just say on Twitter. I'll say on my Telegram page. Certain things I'll say it in a certain way that I'm not compromising myself, but I know it's like a trap. It's like, if this were an ideological war, they're setting booby traps that they want to take down my entire channel and they want to take down my entire movement if I say this, this, and this. But it's like, it doesn't mean I censor myself. It's just I see the trap there, and it's like, I'm going to say exactly what I want to say. I'm just not going to say it in the way you want me to say it. It's like kind of like January 6th. I think that's a metaphor for what they do in the media. It's like, you're allowed to peacefully protest, but if you go to a peaceful protest and it turns into not a peaceful protest, you will be held responsible for what you do if you do it, and you will be blamed for what people do. It doesn't mean it's fair, but it's like, at the end of the day, if you're in an ideological battle with someone, you don't want to just like run into battles flailing your hands. You want to try to figure out the game. Like, for example, you could get lawyers, you could sue them. I know a lot of people have had success, some haven't, but that's all I'm going to say when it comes to Tucker. If Tucker really wants to be 100% free to say what he wants, he made a right decision. He could go work with someone like Daily Wire, and some will say they'll censor him. Probably not, to be honest. Probably Daily Wire or someone like that would let Tucker say whatever he wanted behind the paywall. He could work with Rumble, say whatever he wants. It's just a game of like, I'm not like a mainstream news guy. I mean, I think I could be a news journalist if they wanted me to be, but clearly nobody wants me to be that because they don't, they know who I am. Clearly I'm not the cookie cutter, wear a suit mold that they're looking for that will say certain things. So it is what it is, but we'll see where he goes. I don't think he sold out. I don't think he caved. He left or they fired him, and we'll see the full story here. But in general, everybody's responsible for what they say and do. And if you really don't agree with what Fox is doing, or you really don't agree with what Daily Wire is doing, you can always create your own news company. It's not easy. It's not fun. But I have to say, as somebody that's not a victim, I've been able to create something and build something for myself. It's hard. It's difficult. But if you're good at what you do, if you're honest and you stand out among all the other liars and losers, then God is great. People will find you. There's a lot of different outlets nowadays. There's BitChute, there's Rumble, there's YouTube, there's Facebook. I'm banned from TikTok, and it's whatever. I'll just keep on moving. It's what it is. Let me read a few comments, and I'm going to keep this pretty brief today, or I'm going to try to. Someone said the First Amendment, freedom of speech, should protect you from what others say. They have the freedom. You can't keep free people from saying what they want. For sure, but in court, there's a difference between free speech and defamation. These are muddy waters. I don't necessarily agree with it, but let's just say when Nick Sandmann sued CNN or whoever he sued, he won all these lawsuits against left-wing media. Do you agree with it? I bet 9 out of 10 Republicans are happy that Nick Sandmann won his lawsuit. Did they have the free speech to lie about Nick Sandmann and make stuff up? No, they didn't. But here's the thing. Both sides will agree with lawsuits if it goes in their way. Every right-winger was celebrating, haha, they got sued, haha, they got sued. But then it goes the other way too. If you're going to speak about Dominion, you can have an opinion about the election, but if you're going to basically leverage your news website against an entire multi-million or billion-dollar corporation and damage them and defame them in their words, then you're going to have to go to court over it. So I'm not saying it's right, and I don't know what was said, because with me, I stay out of lawsuits because I don't say things that I can't prove, and I'm not going to be bullied into like saying, like, everything I do is research. If someone shows me something and proves it, then I'll say it. But I'm very calculated with what I say because I know how this world works. You have the free speech to say whatever you want, but if you defame somebody, they will take you to court. And as much as right-wingers want to say, well, that's not right, how many of you cried when Nick Sandmann won a lawsuit? Nobody said, oh, this is not fair. This might bite us in the ass. Of course it will. Just like Alex Jones and these parents suing him. Alex Jones, it seems like he's getting they want more money out of Alex Jones than they wanted out of the guy who actually shot the kids. Isn't that a little weird that they're trying to fleece Alex Jones of like millions and billions of dollars? They're not even suing the person who did the actual crime, like as hard. So that's kind of a weird red flag, but these are the laws in this country. And as a news analyst, this is what you have to think about. You want to have an opinion, you want to speak the truth, but you want to be honest about what you're saying, because if you're honest and accurate, then you should be able to win in court most of the time. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Where does the opinion / First Amendment, where does that cross defamation? Like, I'm all for people doing opinions, and I'm not a litigious person. I don't sue people. They don't sue me. Like, I stay out of it. But someone said it's defamation, not free speech. Free speech is the freedom to say things in hard times, not defamation. Agreed. But it's a gray area. That's all I'm going to say. I agree with you, but what is defamation? If I say Joe Biden's a communist, can he sue me? Because he's like, well, technically, I'm not a communist. Or if someone says that person's a Nazi, like, clearly they're not a Nazi, but can they sue? Nick Sandmann's a white supremacist, they said, and then he sued. Was it based on that? It's very muddy waters, because I could say a Republican is a socialist. They're doing socialism, because I think I'd be able to win in court. Statistically, I have a definition of socialism, and when you print money and do that stuff, both parties engage in socialist activity. But it all depends who wants to sue and who wants to, throw their weight around and try. It's very creepy, actually, because I do think people should be able to joke. I do think people have the right to humor, sarcasm. I think even people have the right to exaggerate based on, if they have a validity to what they're saying, but it all depends who wants to sue back. So these are things that Fox News has to deal with on a way higher scale. I'm not sympathizing for them, but for me, people don't really care as much. Fox, they have a television show, they have billions of dollars. People are way quicker to sue them. I don't envy these big news websites. You got to think they got hundreds of employees, thousands of employees. This person's suing that person. This person's calling you this name. You got lawyers, and it's such a drain, And that's like, oh, well, this lady's leaving work, and she said that you harassed her, and it's like, did that person harass her? Or is this lady just trying to? They said you fired them because of racism. Did you really fire them because of racism, or are they just a bad employee? This person says they're transgender. That's why you didn't hire them. Could you imagine working for one of these big companies? This is the type of stuff they have to deal with, like lawsuits all the time. I'm not saying I feel bad for them, but it's not a life I would want to live. The more money, more problems, as Biggie Small said. The more you do, the more people are trying to take it. So, I enjoy kind of flying under the radar because I just don't want to deal with all this stuff. It's creepy. Someone said, please interview Tucker Carlson. I would love to. I would love to interview Tucker Carlson. I'd love to talk to him. Maybe it could happen at some point. To me, I think me and Tucker would get along great. I'm surprised we haven't talked yet, but that's what it is. It just hasn't come to fruition yet, but I would love to talk to Tucker. Let's see. Someone said Tucker will not be able to critique Israel on Daily Wire. Maybe not though. I mean, I don't know. I guess if he signs a huge deal, I'm sure he could say whatever he wants to say, but he could deal with the consequences of saying it. Like, when Candace and Ben were disagreeing about Kanye, it's like, I don't know that he was specifically saying you can't say that, but it's just like, you have to deal with like disagreeing. It's funny because Jason Whitlock asked me today on his show, he's like, why do you not like Ben Shapiro? Or what do you hate about Ben Shapiro? And I had to say, I don't hate Ben Shapiro. I think he's a nice guy, but I just don't agree with him on certain issues. I think he's hypocritical on free speech because he cries anti-Semitism when, there's hate speech against his race and religion. But he's very disingenuous with it. Also, the whole my wife's a doctor and pushing vaccines super hard, to minorities was a little weird. I just disagree with certain things. Everybody's allowed to make mistakes, but I don't hate Ben Shapiro. I just disagree on certain things, and it's all good. Ben owes me nothing. I owe nothing to Ben. It's not like I need something from him and he doesn't need anything from me. So it's fine. Same with someone the other day. They're like, what do you hate about Dan Bongino? I'm like, have I said I hate Dan Bongino? I wish I could just lie more and be like, yeah, I love everyone. I just don't. It's like, do you like the New York Giants? Yeah. Do you like the Patriots? No. You ask me a question, I'll answer. It's not, I apologize for not liking someone more, but I don't hate Dan Bongino. I think he's a standout in the conservative movement. I think he's wildly successful. I think he's more authentic than most people. That's why a lot of people gravitate towards his energy. But as far as like him on my radar, yeah, I'm not that interested. There's been times where I've been unimpressed and just disagree, but I don't hate him. I see the same with Ben Shapiro. He's done a lot. There's certain things that he does very well. I just not a fan. I'm not interested in it. But yeah, I don't want to come across as a hater. I was at a wedding yesterday and this guy Randy came up to me and he's like, Anomaly, I watch your show all the time. You always say, I don't mean to be rude, but he was like, I started counting and he's like, you said it like 15 times, where when I think in my head what I'm about to say, and then I'm like, I don't mean to be rude, but I say that all the time. It's pretty funny. I know I say it because I'm trying to preface it with, it's like, I'm going there. I don't want to go there, but I have to go there. So I try to give a disclaimer. It's like when you buy a little toy and it's like, disclaimer, this has pieces that a 10-year-old could choke on. I try to give my disclaimer. It's like, I'm not being rude, but so maybe I'll make a shirt out of that. Someone said some personalities just rub you the wrong way. It doesn't mean you hate them. Yeah, but I would say it's not, I think Dan Bongino has a great personality. It's not his personality that rubs me the wrong way. I guess I'm just tired of like the Trump butt sniffers where it's like, it's like they stick on this narrative and just run in circles and get like pissed off at like, and nothing happens. So I'm outside of that, like, I call it the conservative goofy loop where they just run in circles. So I think Dan has an excellent personality. I think he's got a top tier personality. His personality doesn't bother me at all. I think he's impressive and he deserves all the success he gets. It's just his content and what he chooses to talk about and some of his opinions. Most of them I agree on. Some I don't. That's America. Don't hate the guy. I'm just not interested. It's like it's this like world that people are living in that I just don't subscribe to. It's like they don't have a narrative outside of Trump's narrative, and to me, it's just starting to seem like a circus where it's like running on a hamster wheel. With that being said, they might think that about me. That's okay. Ben, I find him very deceptive. I think he's good on certain values, but I think his whole shtick is like facts don't care about your feeling, and there's no such thing as hate speech. But he cries anti-Semitism and says it's anti-Semitism to suggest any Jew in America likes Israel more than America, which is he's basically saying it's hate speech to say the truth. So I find him very, very hypocritical, very fake, bad on big pharma. Like his whole shtick that there's no such thing as hate speech in safe spaces. I don't believe that Ben actually believes that. So I'm not interested in it. I'll support him on a college campus when they're trying to kick him off because I think Ben should be able to talk. Yet, has Ben ever spoken out against the BDS laws where they're trying to make it illegal to boycott, divest, or sanction Israel on college campuses? No, I think Ben agrees with that because Ben loves Israel because he's just likes the country. But if I were to say that, Ben would be like, "Oh, that's anti-Semitic. Wow, wow, wow. Oh my gosh, I'm a victim." I'm not interested in it. But and then when he was like Louis Farrakhan is so bad. He's such an anti-Semite. He's telling black people to not get the vaccine. Black people, why aren't you getting the vaccine? Why are you listening to an anti-Semite, Louis Farrakhan? It's like, yeah, Louis Farrakhan says hate speech, and Ben Shapiro loves black people so much because he wants you to go get the COVID vaccine. And then 2 years later, Ben's like, my bad. I think I was wrong. I wouldn't have got it. It's like, well, maybe you spent so much time saying that Louis Farrakhan was spewing hate speech, and Louis Farrakhan was actually right about that topic, and you were wrong. So you get what I'm saying? This is why hate speech doesn't matter to me, because it's like if Louis Farrakhan hurts my feelings because I'm white, but Louis Farrakhan is telling me not to inject myself with synthetic mRNA, and Ben Shapiro is being so nice to me, but he's telling me to inject myself because I'm black already. It's like that's why hate speech doesn't matter. The tough truth is better than the schmarmy lie. But it's all good. Everybody does different things. It's just I don't have to listen to everybody and I don't have to like it. But the only reason I brought that up is because I haven't even thought about Ben in a while. Jason Whitlock brought it up to me on his podcast. He's like, why do you hate Ben? I was like, I don't hate him. I don't hate him. Honestly, I think he's been more honest on the vaccine than Donald Trump has. Like Trump still hasn't come around and turned a corner, and Shapiro has. That says a lot. But that's just my opinion. Let's read some. Was I on Blaze TV today? I was, yeah. Check out the intro. It's so funny and like condescending. He's talking to me like I'm like, I don't mind though. It's not like maybe that's just how he talks to everybody, but he's like, I don't know this guy's name. I don't really know much about him. I don't know where he stands. He's authentic, but you might not agree with him. Why is he wearing blue? Is he a Chargers fan? It's like, no, I just woke up and put a blue shirt on, bro. It's not that deep, but it's like a weird intro, but I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It's just like, you're welcome for coming on the show and making it awesome. Let me see. Oh, and then he said he's like, I don't know. He's just like a white guy. Like that's how he announced me. He announced me as like a white guy wearing a blue shirt. Like, imagine if I had Jason Whitlock on. I'm like, he's just like a black guy that is wearing like a oversized sweatshirt. Like, wouldn't that be like a weird intro if I was just like, Jason Whitlock's just I don't know, a black guy wearing an oversized sweatshirt. What is he, a sports fan? It's like, no, he's been a journalist for 20 years. Like, Jason Whitlock, am Anomaly. I run circles around most of your news organization with 800, 900 million views, a bigger following on Instagram than pretty much anyone at your network. I don't know. That's who I am. Does it matter? Not really. But when you introduce me like I'm just like, personality number 7,757, I'm going to have to make a joke about it. It's just like, it's funny. But I don't care. It's just kind of funny. It's like, yeah, I'm wearing a blue shirt. Get over it. Yeah, it was a really weird introduction. But hey, let me speak to the audience. I'm always glad to bless an audience with great perspective. So, I'm sure he's got a great audience and I'm sure they'll appreciate what I said. Someone said America's just an empty vessel for one agenda for guys like Ben. I mean, I hear you. I mean, as some would say, I don't mean to be rude, but now, now I'm gonna think about that every time I say it. I don't mean to be rude, but what is Blaze? A media company that would be much more entertaining if they hired me, but now what are they? I don't know. I don't watch it. Someone said they fired Don Lemon because he's gay and black. It is homophobia and racism at the same time, for sure. I'm appalled. I'm appalled, CNN, that you fired a gay black man. How dare you? Don Lemon deserves to be president. It's like, whoa, 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 CEO. No, 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 no. We don't let those people be CEO. They just get to. I was joking about someone the other day. I was like, do you notice how all this social justice stuff only applies to like people in positions that they don't really need to do much? Like, for example, the NBA, they're like, maybe we should have all female coaches. It's like, do you want all female players on the? No, you don't. Why? Because nobody would watch it. It's like there is no diversity. There's natural diversity among the players. They're all diverse because it's the best. Like it's all merit based. Doesn't matter if you're a white guy from Europe or a black guy from Middle America. You get to play in the NBA if you're one of the best. It's beautiful. That's why I love sports, even though they're kind of cringe at some points. Like I love MMA. Doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter what color you are. You get to prove why you're the best, and it's a beautiful thing. And if you're a good person and you are the best, everyone's going to love you. Black, white, it doesn't matter. We're looking for who's good at what they do. I love sports for that reason. But you notice they always want to diversify, not the CEO, because the CEO doesn't want to give up his job. They want to diversify the coaches and the marketing, but not the actual thing. Like in most of these companies, do you think they're diversifying the welders? Do you think they're diversifying the men who are, working their ass off to create the product? No, they're not diversifying that. It's probably 98% men who are physically capable to create the products. Yeah, why don't you go diversify the coal mines of West Virginia? Oh, you don't want to? Yeah, but you'll diversify the lady who runs the coal miners Instagram. She'll be like, hey, it's Rainbow Month. It's not Rainbow Month in the coal mine though, because you guys don't want to put your life on the line for 6 figures a year or whatever they're making. It's like it's so funny, but the whole like diversity it's only for like marketing positions and coaches, but for the actual oomph of the company that really drives it home, they won't do that because they know that like it doesn't matter who does it best, just get the best people. It's just funny. So I'm gonna go with CNN could have possibly allegedly maybe not maybe they're trying to go in a different direction. What if they replaced Don Lemon with a straight white man? That would be crazy. Who are they going to replace him with? It's got to be like RuPaul or something, or else they're going in the wrong direction. So hopefully, welcome to CNN. Here's RuPaul tonight. She's like, hey, I'm sorry. Did you want to see Don Lemon? I'm sorry. He's not going to be here anymore. It's going to be me. And Lizzo's going to come on tonight to do a drag queen story hour in Tennessee. You're like, wow, CNN's really getting more progressive. I thought they were too far right. Anyway, someone said, am I misremembering or wasn't Tucker Carlson the only one on Fox News who called out Sidney Powell for not actually delivering the Kraken? No, I think you're right. I think he was not going along with that. It's tough to do when the Republican Party hive mind is pushing in a direction. They get very emotional and they get very angry. Like I'm going to do 2 examples. That and even I got a little, like, even I kind of got sucked in at the time. And I was like, what's Tucker doing? But I still like Tucker, but I'm skeptical. Like, when Trump was talking about Iran, Tucker came out and said, hey, let's not start a war with Iran. Let's leave Iran alone. And I remember I posted about it because I thought it was a good segment. And even my audience was like, Tucker's done. He's dead to me. Kick him off TV. He's done. It's like when Republicans get in this emotional hive mind about something, they don't want you to disagree. And when Tucker disagreed with the Sidney Powell stuff and the Iran stuff, excuse me, I sounded like Seinfeld there. Iran stuff. No, but People got really upset, but I think that shows integrity when you do it anyway. You know that 90% of your audience might disagree with it, but you do it because you think it's the right thing, or it's the right thing. That's the difference between a lot of people. A lot of people in politics, the people who are easy to lobby are people that won't tell the truth when it's socially inconvenient. That's what makes you a puppet. A lot of people think that people are puppets, like someone's just coming to them and saying, here's $100 million, let me control your life. Some people, maybe. Most people, it's different. It's the same reason why 99% of your workforce didn't speak up against the vaccine mandate. Were they being paid millions of dollars to do that? No, they had a job in a social circle that they would have lost if they would have challenged it, and they want the money. That's how a lot of this stuff works, even in politics. It's not all so direct. Some of it is, but a lot of it's like, say you figure something out, but most of your audience doesn't actually agree. Do you want to go that route? Do you want millions of people to get pissed at you? Do you want to potentially lose, your social circle? Most people are like, nah, not worth it. Let me just kind of like, skirt it. But that's why they'll never be a Tucker. That's why nobody cares about them enough. So I'm going to end on this note because I want to keep it under 50 minutes. Sometimes the safe route's not so safe, because I think when you do become the best at what you do speak out against the grain when it's not popular in your own party. Although it might be temporarily inconvenient, in the long term, it's why you're going to be here and everyone else is going to be here. If everybody else if you could close your eyes and tell me who said this, and I don't even know who said it because it could have been one of 10,000 people, you don't have as much value because you don't stand out. It's easy for them to pluck you off TV and put someone else there. That's why Tucker Carlson had such high ratings. Like his show was a must-watch show. He had good interviews. He had interesting takes. He went against the grain. He was funny. He had a good sense of humor. He was pretty light on his feet with that. So, I think it always pays off to try to be as close to the real deal as you possibly can. With that being said, God bless you guys. Appreciate you for watching. Let me know in the comments why you think Tucker and Don Lemon got fired. And I think as the next weeks unveil, we'll figure out exactly why Tucker got fired. And I'm sure Don Lemon, he's already talking on Twitter. I'm sure he'll say a little bit more of why he thinks he got ousted. Thank you guys for being here. This has been the Dream Rare Podcast. God bless hats, God is great sweatshirts, and also Big Farmer, not Big Pharma t-shirts are available at dreamrare.com. Pick it up. It's the reason I don't have to just hawk pharmacy commercials like most of mainstream media. I try to fund myself and sell products that I believe in so I can rely less on ads. Thanks for everybody checking it out. Check my links in the comment section. This has been the Monday edition of Dream Rare Podcast. Appreciate you guys. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk for $5 a month. You can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all. And part of the way I'm able to do that is with the dreamrare.com shop and patreon.com/raretalk. So thank you guys for keeping this show free, unimpeded, uninterrupted. I'm forever grateful. My free email list is stayintouchwithme.com. So check the links below in the description, or just type in on any browser, stayintouchwithme.com, all one word. You'll find my email list, put it in there, and it's the least annoying email list you'll ever be on. I barely use it because I don't like getting emailed every day or every week. It's annoying, so I don't do it. Stayintouchwithme.com. It helps me take back some power